Win this fight by knockout, you would think I'm absolutely crazy, right? But the thing is, it can happen. 10-ounce gloves, heavyweight, Jake Paul can punch hard.
Too many mistakes so far. So it got my attention. It got Teddy's attention. He's been growing. He's been growing in the ring. He's been growing outside the ring.
Jake Paul enters training camp with serious intent for his fight against Anthony Joshua. During one of his sparring sessions, he reportedly knocked out heavyweight Greg Hardy, drawing significant attention to his increasing power. Coach Larry Wade explains that Jake has been sparring consistently and not just competing, but dominating the sessions. He adds that Jake's training partners are not average large fighters. He has been working with champion-level heavyweights who push him to perform at a higher, more demanding level.
Dominated from day one with heavyweights, and I don't mean just random heavyweights. I mean heavyweights that are ranked in the top 25, if not top 15 in the world.
And leaked footage showed Jake sparring with high-level heavyweights, a step designed to simulate the elite pressure he will face against Anthony Joshua. In comparison, Joshua's past opponents, including Alexander Usyk, were established champions who tested him at the highest level of the sport. Jake's intense sparring regimen aims to sharpen his timing, power, and confidence so he can enter the ring with a mindset capable of handling a top-tier heavyweight.
Being dwarfed by these way bigger heavyweights like Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, and Lawrence Okolie. Okolie is like 6'4.5", 6'5", and these guys are like 6'3", 6'4", probably. So now Jake Paul is the one that's smaller. So first of all, I will give credit to Jake Paul. Clearly, he's a person who is taking his career seriously. These are quality sparring. I mean, a real boxer, because people say he's not a real boxer, but a real boxer would be using the same guys in their sparring camp. In fact, I just told you Joshua used Lawrence Okolie. I don't know if he sparred with Anderson or Frank Sanchez, but these are all regular ranked heavyweights. So credit to Jake Paul for that. And I mean, he's going to need it. Joshua is a different breed to, like, you know, a Mike Perry when it comes to boxing. Different frame, different size. In case you didn't believe me, right? Jake Paul, this is what MVP Promotions posted. So Jake Paul top sparring, right? Heavyweights. And here's some pictures of Joshua with Lawrence Okolie. And again, Joshua, a big dude, but you see Lawrence Okolie, and he probably was cruiserweight back then. I mean, I don't know exactly when this picture was taken, but he's only like an inch shorter than Anthony Joshua. And now, as he's moved up to the full heavyweight, he has filled out more. You see, he looks even bigger than when he was a cruiserweight. Now, I gotta research it, but I want to say I thought Lawrence Okolie was injured, but again,
the knockout moment in Jake's sparring footage generated excitement. It also sparked immediate debate online. Many questioned whether the clip genuinely reflected Jake Paul's power. On X, a user named Tammy added fuel to the controversy by claiming Jake paid the opponent off, suggesting the fighter took a fake knee for money. Her comment shifted the discussion, with fans arguing over whether the knockdown was real or staged. Another user, Tun Marino, chimed in, writing, "Is that Greg Hardy? If so, that explains it. Dude's got a magnet for a chin." His remark pointed to Hardy's reputation, further intensifying the debate about Jake's punching ability and Hardy's durability. The clip quickly became a viral topic as viewers analyzed every detail from technique to the heavyweight's reaction. Meanwhile,
a lot of heavyweights seem to prime as they get older. Now, a problem for Anthony Joshua is his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years. And one of them, he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight. And a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer. And he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now, Jake Paul Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023, and one of them was against Mike Tyson. But we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime. Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, well, I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime, because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched, and I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now, come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Now, in the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights, and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua, because he's just going to go...
Legendary trainer. Today, Atlas has shared his thoughts on Jake Paul's mindset leading up to the Joshua fight. Atlas points out that Jake carries remarkable self-belief, and his willingness to take such a massive leap shows a genuine effort to elevate his skills, rather than damaging the sport. Atlas argues that Jake is bringing creativity and new attention to boxing, helping attract fresh audiences. He praises Jake's approach, noting that the influencer-turned-boxer is using this moment to push himself, test his abilities, and evolve. Facing a true heavy...
Too many mistakes so far. So it got my attention. It got Teddy's attention. He's been growing. He's been growing in the ring. He's been growing outside the ring. He's been growing in confidence. I think that in the Canelo situation, that didn't happen. He was ready to do that. I think if anything else, if nothing else, he's showing you that he truly is believing in himself. And that, you know, he's been a work in progress. He still is. And he's showing you, he's putting his money where his mouth is. Everyone's calling for him to do this, to do that. And, you know, he's always had the advantage with guys that weren't real fighters. They were fighters. They were older fighters. They were MMA fighters. They were this. They were that. They were smaller. They were older. Now he's taking a guy that's bigger, older, but bigger. A real, can't debate if he's a fighter. 2-time heavyweight champ. Coming off, but he's a smart son of a gun. He's a gutsy son of a... I always stood up for him because everyone was saying he was hurting the sport. He wasn't hurting the sport. In some ways, he was bringing interest in a different way to the sport. But he built something. He was smart. He built something that was creative. That took a mind, it took guts, it took a gamble.
Boxing commentator Pat Brown provides a more sobering perspective on Jake Paul's challenge. He stresses that this fight is unlike anything Jake has ever faced, describing boxing as a pain business where the physical and mental toll becomes brutally clear. Against a top-tier heavyweight, Brown implies that Jake's previous opponents did not bring the same pressure, experience, or danger that Anthony Joshua represents. He highlights that mistakes against a fighter like AJ carry serious consequences, both physically and strategically. Brown underscores that this is not just a media-driven event, it is a real fight against a man who has spent his entire career at the elite level.
That doesn't look like a 6'2" man there. Obviously AJ's 6'6" and he's a big bloke, but I thought Jake Paul would have been a bit bigger than that, to be fair. Yeah, this is what I mean. he's going to realise this is the paying business. Seriously, there's levels to this game, and you know, it's good in a way because it will show up a lot of people thinking you can just put a pair of boxing gloves on and go to the top. However, I do respect Jake Paul to an extent because he has dedicated his life to it. And, you know, he's doing it the right way. He's making good money, but I do think he's done a tremendous leap too far here. And this is where you can get hurt big time, especially against AJ. You know, he's been carrying British boxing on his shoulders for many years, and he's